Welcome to another goodbye or goodbye video, and this time pag-uusapan ko yung DMCI Holdings Incorporated, stock code DMC. So just a quick disclaimer lang, the analysis and opinions discussed in this video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered as financial or investment advice. Trading and investing both have risks, which means it could lead to potential losses. So make sure that you do your own research and due diligence before making personal financial decisions. So as usual, ang pag-uusapan ko sa video na to, yung mga facts surrounding DMC, yung speculative nature ng stock, talking about the positive catalyst, talking about the risks, and pag-uusapan ko yung technicals or yung nakikita natin sa charts, which of course is about the price action or price movement. So una muna, pag-usapan muna natin yung mga details tungkol sa DMC. So here's a screenshot from the website mismo ng DMCI, which talks about the holding corporation as a whole, kung ano yung ginagawa nila. So recently, naging trending yung DMC lalo na nung February 16 dahil nagkaroon yung stock ng negative 14.66% na drop sa loob lang ng isang araw. And on a longer term na period, from February 13, 2023 towards February 13, 2026, so sa loob ng 3 years, so kung tatanggalin natin yung nangyaring drop nung February 16, hindi na talaga maganda yung performance ng DMC kasi nasa negative 8.49% sa loob ng 3 taon. So kung tatanggalin natin yung nangyaring drop na double digits nitong nakaraan, hindi pa rin talaga sila nasa magandang sitwasyon. And for 2023, yung nabigay na dividends ng DMC sa mga shareholders is nasa 1.44 pesos per share. Tapos, nung 2024, ang nabigay na lang nila na dividends is 1.20 pesos per share. So kung i-compare natin yan, nearly 17% drop sa dividends. And last year, DMC was able to give 1.08 pesos per share, which is a 10% drop naman compared to 2024. So, sa loob ng span na to, nakikita talaga natin na pababa yung stock price niya tapos bumababa yung nabibigay niyang dividends. So, this leads to several questions. Una, bakit nagkaroon ng sudden drop nung February 16? Pangalawa, bakit ba negative yung stock price performance ng DMC for 3 years? And bakit nagkakaroon ng decrease ng dividends niya nitong mga nakarang taon din? So, in order for us to understand kung bakit nangyayari itong mga bagay na to, we need to talk about kung paano ba nagkakaroon ng pera ang DMC. Because income ng isang company greatly affects the stock price. And income of the company also affects the dividends na binibigay ng company na to. At mapapag-usapan ko yan mamaya kung bakit. Pero sa ngayon, let's see how DMC makes money. So, this is a screenshot again from the website mismo ng DMCI. And as you can see, dito sa conglomerate map nila, makikita nyo dyan lahat ng mga companies na under sa DMCI. So, hindi ko na yan babasahin isa-isa. Kung gusto nyo, i-pause nyo na lang tong video and then basahin yun, no? Pero kung i-categorize natin yung mga companies na to, yung mga subsidiaries nila under sa DMCI, makikita natin na merong 6 na masasabi nating source ng income nila. So, isa sa mga pinakamaliit dyan, yung construction arm nila, so nasa 0.19 billion. So, nasa 190 million pesos. And then, yung DMCI Mining, which is around 0.73 billion, so nasa 730 million pesos. And then, DMCI Power, nearly 1 billion yung income nila dyan. Tapos, mga associates, no, plus parent and other income sources, nasa 3.06 billion. But the bulk of this income comes from Maynilad. Kasi, if you're not aware, yung DMC kasi, may malaki silang percentage na ownership sa Maynilad. So, syempre, may nakukuha sila dyan na income in the form of dividends. And another source ng income nila is DMCI Homes, which is the real estate naman na arm, nasa around 2.65 billion. And the biggest chunk of their income, so makikita natin dito, halos kalahati, nasa 43%. And then you can see sa donut chart na talagang ang laki ng color blue. So, that's SMPC, which is coal plus on-grid power. And SMPC is also known as SEC. So, if we're going to look dun sa donut chart ng DMC, makikita natin dito na 43% nga nung income nila is galing sa SMPC. And then, equity income nung source nung 22% ng income ng DMC. Ito na yung associates from parents and others na in a way bulk yung income nila galing sa Maynilad. And then the third one, yung construction arm plus real estate, which somewhat goes hand in hand kasi yung real estate, diba, may construction din naman dyan. Yun yung source ng around 20% ng income ng DMC. So, ibig sabihin, yung kabuuan or bulk ng business ng DMC, no, halos 85% relies heavily on these three industries. So, that's coal, real estate, /construction, tapos yung water utilities. So, balik tayo dun sa unang question. So, bakit nagkaroon ng sudden drop sa DMC nitong Feb 16 na around 14%, no? So, may ginawa akong video na mas comprehensive talking about this specific event. So, nagkaroon kasi ng crash sa SEC na negative 21% because yung contract extension ng Semirara na-deny ng DOE. So, if you want to watch that video for a more comprehensive discussion on this topic alone, you can click towards the upper right or tingnan nyo sa description box yung link. Gaya ng sabi ko kanina, yung SMPC is malaking source ng income ng DMC and SEC is the same company, diba? So, syempre, dahil doon, affected pati yung DMC kasi isa siya sa mga biggest shareholders ng SEC. So, kung titingnan natin dito ulit yung donut chart, you can see that yung income nga ng DMC, no, nasa 5.81 billion, so more than 5 billion. And then, 43% nun yung buong income nila. So, ibig sabihin, pag nagkataon na yung business ng SEC when it comes to coal mining is nawala, let's say natalo sila sa bidding, tapos kahit mag-drop yung income ng SEC, kunwari ng 50 to 60%, so pag nag-drop yon, so pwede ba natin masabi na yung income ng DMC na galing sa SEC, mababawasan syempre dahil major source ng business nila yon. So, yung dating 5.8, no? So, pwede na maging 2.3 to 2.9 billion. So, market participants and investors are factoring in na kapag nawala yung business na yun ng SEC, syempre, indirectly affected yung DMC at babawas yung income nila. So, nagkaroon ng drop in price, yung stock price ng DMC mismo. So, that's the first reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng sudden drop. It's the market pricing in kung ano yung pwedeng mangyaring negative at yung possible scenarios in the future. So, for the second question, bakit yung stock price performance ng DMC is negative for 3 years na? So, from the earlier slide, halos negative 9%, no, yung naging drop niya sa loob ng 3 years. So, bakit walang nangyayari sa price? Bakit hindi nagkakaroon ng capital appreciation? One of the reasons for that is because if we're going to look dito sa revenue and income ng DMC, so makikita natin dito na nung 2022, nagkaroon sila ng revenue na around 142 billion, tapos yung net income nasa 31 billion. Tapos, nung 2023, from 31 billion, naging na lang 24.72. And then, a year after that, naging 18.97 na lang, no, from 24. Tapos, yung 9-month na period nung 2025, kasi hindi pa sila nakapag-release ng annual report, yung income nila for the past 9 months nung 2025, nasa 11.8 billion, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, hindi pa na-factor in yung 4Q para mabuo yung fiscal year 2025, pero nakikita natin na mababa pa rin yung net income nila, no? So, yung follow-up question dyan, syempre, ano ba yung nagkukos ng pag-decrease ng income ng DMC for the past 3 years? So, alam natin na nagkakaroon ng decrease in stock price dahil nagdi-decrease yung income ng DMC. Pero ano ba yung cost nun? So, balik ulit tayo dito sa donut chart. So, sabi natin, the majority of DMC's income comes from SMPC. So, tingnan natin yung revenue tapos income ng SEC. So, makikita nyo dito, nung 2022, yung revenue ng SEC nasa 91 billion. Tapos, naging 39.87 billion. And then, 2023, from 39 billion, naging 27.93. Tapos, nung 2024, naging 19.63 billion na lang. And 9 months ng 2025, nasa 9.89 billion. So, hindi pa nakakapag-release yung SEC din ng annual report. So, hindi pa kompleto yung 12 months for 2025. But again, we see the same trend compared sa DMC, di ba? Na mababa talaga yung income pa rin nila for 2025. So, for the past 3 years, yung income ng SEC or ng SMPC has been decreasing. So, indirectly, nagko-cause yun ng pag-decrease ng income ng DMC. And ang rason niyan kung bakit bumababa yung income, yung revenue ng SEC is because of coal prices. So, here's a chart of seaborne thermal coal futures. So, presyo ng coal. So, makikita natin na around 2020-2021, yung price ng coal naglalaro around 50 to 100 no, during that period. Tapos, ano yung makikita nyo dito nung first quarter to second quarter ng 2021 papunta sa 2022? From those prices, makikita natin na halos nag times 3, times 4 yung prices, no? Umabot ng 350 tapos 400. So, kitang-kita natin na may pag-increase dun sa price ng coal. So, if we're going to go back sa table ng revenue and income ng SEC, makikita natin na nung 2021, yung revenue nila from 52 billion, naging 91 billion nung 2022. Tapos sa income naman, from 2021, 16.2 billion. Tapos nung 2022, naging 39.87. So, paano nangyari yon? So, syempre, since ang product ng SEC is coal, no, they mine coal, kung yung presyo ng products na binibenta mo or yung goods na binibenta mo is tumaas yung price, of course, mas magi-increase yung revenue, di ba? Mas magi-increase yung income mo. Lalo na pag marami kang napoproduce nun tapos nabibenta mo na mahal, di ba? So, syempre, tataas yung revenue nila. And if we're going to look back sa DMC revenue and income, makikita natin na ayun din yung nangyari. So, from 108 billion na revenue nung 2021, nung 2022, naging 142. Tapos, yung net income nung 2021, 18.39 billion. Tapos, nung 2022, naging 31 billion. So, directly affected yung SEC sa pag-increase ng coal prices and then indirectly affected yung DMC since majority share owner or shareholder sila ng SEC. So, ano naman yung nakikita natin dito from mid-2022 papuntang 2023? So, from the prices of 350 to 400, yung prices no biglang napunta sa 150 to 200 na area in a span of that period from mid-2022 papuntang early 2023. So, kung titingnan ulit natin yung revenue at income table ng SEC, nakikita natin yung difference, no? From 2022 to 2023, dito nagsimula yung pagbaba ng revenue tapos income ng SEC. Kasi, nag-peak yung coal prices nung 2022, kaya kumita sila ng 91 billion. Tapos, nung 2023, naging na lang 76 billion. Tapos, sa net income, kita natin, nag-peak sa 39.87 billion. Tapos, papuntang 2023, bumaba na siya, naging na lang 27.93 billion. So, syempre, ganun din yung mangyayaring trend sa DMC. So, from 142 billion nung 2022, naging na lang 122.82 billion. And yung net income nila, 31 billion nung 2022, naging na lang 24.72 billion nung 2023. So, ayan yung naging galaw ng price ng coal nung 2022 papuntang 2023. So, ano yung makikita natin from 2023 to 2024? Pababa siya, tapos mukhang magsa-sideways, no? So, ayan yung nangyaring trend. So, syempre, yung ine-expect natin na galaw niyan sa revenue and income is pwede pang magpababa lalo or wala masyadong difference. In the case of SEC, bumaba ulit. So, from 76 billion, naging 65 billion. Tapos, ito na nga, yung 2025, naging na lang 43 billion in the past 9 months. Tapos, yung sa net income nila, from 27 billion, bumaba lalo, naging 19.63 billion. And yung 9 months for 2025, 9.89 billion na lang. So, you can also see the same trend sa DMC, syempre. So, that's the reason why yung stock price performance ng DMC is mahina because nagdi-decrease yung income ng DMC. And nagdi-decrease yung income ng DMC dahil nag-decrease yung income ng SEC. At nag-decrease yung income ng SEC dahil bumaba ang coal prices. So, if you want to simplify it, bumaba ang coal prices, kaya pangit yung stock price performance ng DMC. So the third question, why is dividend decreasing? So, I guess you already know why, no? Kung ipagtatagpi-tagpi nyo lang yung napag-usapan ko na sagot sa second question, the answer is simple. Syempre, bumaba yung dividends kasi nag-decrease yung income. So, basic na logic lang, syempre, paano makakapagbigay ng mataas or mas mataas na dividends ang isang company kung yung income niya nagdi-decrease, 'di ba? Kasi kung i-maintain ng DMC yung the same dividend payout, no, kung parehas ng 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, kung pare-parehas lahat yan ng dividends, ibig sabihin, mababawasan sila ng pera para i-allot sa pag-improve ng business nila, sa pagpaandar ng business nila, at sa pag-expand. So, syempre, in order for the company to survive, in order for the company to expand, kailangan nilang bawasan yung binibigay nilang dividends sa mga shareholders. Kasi pag binigay nila lahat sa shareholders yun, syempre mawawala na sila ng pera pang galaw sa company, di ba? So that's why for the past few years pababa yung dividends ng DMC dahil bumababa yung income niya. So again, if you want to simplify it, pwede rin nating sabihin na kaya bumababa yung dividends ng DMC is because bumaba ng sobra yung coal prices compared sa 2022. So before I talk about the next section of this video, if you're learning a lot and finding value sa ganitong klase ng video, yung goodbye or goodbye na format, nag-upload ako ng mga ganitong videos dito sa YouTube channel ko halos once a week. So, kung gusto nyong makapanood ng mga future videos na ganito, make sure that you like this video and subscribe sa channel para maabangan nyo yung mga susunod na stocks na pag-uusapan ko pa in the future. So, for the second part of this video, pag-uusapan ko yung speculative nature ng stock. So, una muna yung mga risks at mga negative catalysts na nakaka-affect or pwede mag-affect sa DMC. So, as mentioned earlier sa previous slides, more than 80% ng DMC relies heavily on three industries. So, yung coal, yung real estate / construction, tapos yung sa water utilities. So, una, sa coal segment, ang biggest risk talaga dito is if SEC does not win yung bidding for the coal contract. So, eto nga, na-deny yung extension ng SEC sa kanilang coal contract and na-deny yun, pero ang sabi ng DOE, magkakaroon pa naman daw ng bidding for 2026, no? Of course, if SEC does not win yung coal contract nila, syempre, mawawala yung business na yon. So, pag nawala yung coal segment ng SEC, syempre, affected yung DMC doon since majority share owner nga sila ng SEC. And ito nga, may lumabas na news ng umaga ng Feb 17. Ang sabi dito, Meralco signals interest in Semirara Coal ahead of the planned government auction. So, ibig sabihin, interesado yung Meralco na magbid para dun sa coal mining contract ng SEC dati. Hindi lang Meralco yung pwedeng maging company na magbid para dyan. So, marami pang iba. So, andun yung risk na pwedeng hindi manalo yung SEC. Tapos, mawala sa kanila yung business. So, syempre, affected dun yung DMC. So, the second risk or negative catalyst, napag-usapan ko na kanina kung gaano ka-severe yung effect ng pag-decrease ng coal price sa income at sa stock price ng SEC at ng DMC. So, ibig sabihin yan, pag nagkataon for several reasons na mag-decrease yung price ng coal, edi syempre bababa na naman yung income ng SEC at ng DMC niyan. So, syempre, hindi siya pwedeng matanggal as a risk. So, negative catalyst talaga yan. And of the several reasons na pwedeng magpa-decrease ng coal price, yung nakikita ko kasing main reason dyan is because of the paradigm shift na nangyayari, So, napag-usapan ko specifically yung mga risks na to for SEC sa previous video ko ng goodbye or goodbye video regarding SEC. So, you can click the link towards the upper right or check nyo din sa description box kung gusto nyo mapanood yan. Kasi dyan ko siya mas pinag-usapan ng mas comprehensive. But in a nutshell, what's happening is that the world is leaning towards green energy sources. So, isa lang to sa mga articles when you do a little bit of research talking about renewables, so China was able to build out a record amount of wind and solar power in 2024. So China was able to put up 357 gigawatts of solar and wind. So 45% and 18% increase yan at the end of 2023. So nung nagawa na nila yung mga installations na yan, na-surpass nila yung goal na makuha yung 1,200 gigawatts by 2030. So, napaaga, no? So, ibig sabihin, grabe yung pag-transition nila tapos pag-scale nila ng renewable energy sector nila. And, hindi lang yan sa China, no? But the world as a whole. So, sabi nga dito, for the first time in record, yung renewables overtook coal. So, previously kasi, yung share ng coal sa global electricity is 34.2%. Tapos, yung renewables, 32.7, no? So, ngayon, nagkabaliktad na sila. Yung share na ng renewables sa global electricity nasa 34.33%. Tapos, yung coal, bumaba. Nasa 33.1 na lang. So, the world as a whole, mas madami nang gumagamit ng renewables. So, even the Philippines is following the trend. So, merong goal yung Philippines na by 2030, maging 35% na yung renewables. Tapos, by 2040, 50% renewables na. So, pagdating naman sa mga major risk or negative catalyst ng real estate segment nila or construction arm, syempre, when it comes to the construction arm nila, ang biggest risk dyan is yung decrease in construction. And ano ba yung isa sa mga main source ng construction, no, sa Pilipinas? Syempre, government spending kasi yung gobyerno naman ang in charge sa mga malalaking projects, no, for infrastructure projects. So here's an article from the last week of December, no, 2025. So nagka-cut yung government ng infrastructure spending. So ibig sabihin, pag nag-continue yung ganong trend na hindi masyadong marami yung sinispend ng government sa infrastructure, so syempre paano yung construction arm ng DMC, 'di ba? So hindi sila magkakaroon ng ganon kalaking revenue or income kung wala masyadong construction projects na ginagawa. And pangalawa, pagdating dito sa real estate arm naman nila, syempre yung soft consumer demand. So ilang beses tong nabalita last year and hanggang sa ngayon, no, may oversupply pagdating sa mga residential condos and yung vacancy mataas pa rin. So iba't ibang articles, iba't ibang source, sasabihin sa'yo iba't ibang number of units na available, pero halos lahat sila sinasabing bearish kasi ang daming inventory na hindi pa nabebenta, no? So, ibig sabihin, hindi pa ganun kalakas yung demand para mabili itong mga units na to. So, of course, pag nag-maintain yung ganitong trend na wala masyadong bumibili sa mga real estate na to, so, syempre, you won't expect na yung income from that segment is magiging maganda. So, the third one, pagdating dito sa water utilities na segment, so specifically Maynilad, which is a bulk of their income din. So, ang pinaka-risk dyan is, syempre, regulatory risk. So, ito nga tayo, present example natin, yung sa coal ng SEC. So, because of the expiring contract nila sa coal mining, grabe yung effect, 'di ba? 22%, more than 20% drop, no? 14% drop for DMC. Tapos ano pa yung mga examples niyan, 'di ba? Yung TEL, tapos yung Globe nung a few years back nung nabash sila ng government, no? Specifically si ex-President Duterte. Andyan din yung ABS-CBN nung nawala yung franchise nila, 'di ba? So, isa pang example niyan yung Plus nung nagkaroon ng regulation pagdating sa online gambling, 'di ba? Halos lahat sila nag-decrease talaga yung price. So, syempre hindi natin masasabi, hindi naman 100% safe na hindi mare-regulate yung Maynilad, 'di ba? So, pwedeng magkaroon pa rin ng regulatory risk diyan. At pag nangyari 'yon, syempre, kung magdi-decrease yung stock price ng Maynilad or di kaya magdi-decrease yung income nila, syempre may effect pa rin 'yon sa DMC. So, napag-usapan na natin yung risk at negative catalysts. So, punta naman tayo sa positive catalysts. So, syempre, yung mga positive catalysts, nasa same segment lang din naman kasi ito pa rin naman yung tatlong importanteng aspect ng DMC. So, una, pagdating sa coal segment, syempre, pag sila yung nanalo sa bidding, of course, if SEC wins, magkakaroon sila ng extension sa pag-operate nung coal mining, 'di ba? So, syempre mapipilitan yung market participants na magkaroon ng adjustment sa price ng SEC and DMC dahil sila ulit yung mag-ooperate ng coal mining at pwedeng kumita pa rin sila ng pera from that source. So, syempre, ibang usapan naman kapag nagkaroon ng iba't ibang terms and conditions yung contract na yon na mapapalanunan nila. But of course, it's still positive kahit papano pag sila talaga yung nanalo dun sa bidding. So, isa pang positive catalyst under sa coal segment, kung negative yung effect ng coal sa SEC, so nakita natin yun sa chart kanina, syempre, ang kabaliktaran yan, pag nag-increase naman yung price ng coal, syempre, yung effect niyan pagdating sa income ng SEC positive. So, if the income of SEC ay mag-increase dahil sa coal price, syempre, pwedeng mag-increase yung income ng DMC, which of course, can increase their stock price, no? So, binaliktad lang natin yung nangyari. So, although the bias is that hindi na mag-i-increase yung coal prices because of the things that I've mentioned earlier, hindi naman natin masasabi, 'di ba? Because anytime pwedeng magkaroon ng decrease in supply, pwedeng magkaroon ng mga logistics issue, pwedeng magkaroon ng issues pagdating sa ibang countries kung saan mapilitan yung mga ibang tao na kunin yung coal exports ng Pilipinas. So, maraming mga geopolitical issues na pwedeng mangyari para makapagpa-increase pa ng price ng coal. So, syempre, positive catalyst yun specifically for SEC. Pero syempre, hanggat hindi pa nangyayari yun, parehas lang yung ma-expect natin sa SEC, which indirectly affects DMCI. So, pagdating naman sa positive catalysts sa real estate segment, infrastructure construction, syempre pag nagkaroon ng boom dyan or increase. So, kanina na-mention ko na nag-decrease yung government ng infrastructure spending for 4 months. Pero ito, isang article recently by Bilyonaryo. So, Secretary Dizon ng DPWH meets with the top-tier contractors ahead of the Maharlika Highway bidding. So, pinapaayos ng DPWH yung isa sa mga pinaka-importanteng highway sa Pilipinas, and sabi dito, yung mga malulupit lang na contractors yung kinakausap, Kasi syempre, mainit ngayon sa mata ng tao yung mga maliliit na mga contractors, diba? Because of the flood control issues. So, I guess, ito yung way ng government para ipakita sa mga tao, diba? Para mag-boost ng confidence na this time ang kukunin nila yung mga malalaking companies para magagaling talaga. So, syempre, this is a positive catalyst for DMC because isa sila sa mga malalaki at magagaling na construction companies na mga contractors. So, although nakakita tayo ng decrease na infrastructure spending, hindi natin masasabi kasi kung decreased man yung infrastructure spending, pero karamihan naman ng mga future projects ng gobyerno ay mabibigay sa DMC, then that's still a positive catalyst for DMC, di ba? And isa pang positive catalyst under the real estate construction arm of the company, syempre pag nagkaroon ng increase in the demand for housing, di ba? So, pag nagkataon na lumakas yung economy, diba? Mas maraming tao yung nagkaroon ng pera. So, syempre magkakaroon ng ripple effect yun at pwedeng mas mag-boom yung real estate na industry, diba? So, of course, that will directly affect DMC dahil isa sila sa mga sikat na companies when it comes to real estate. So, the third one, positive catalyst pagdating sa water utilities. Syempre, pag nagkaroon ng mga expansion milestones yung Maynilad, and yung demand or yung connection growth ay mag-increase pa further, di ba? So, syempre, itong mga bagay na to, pag mas lumaki pa yung Maynilad, of course, it will lead to better financial outcomes for DMC since isa sila sa mga biggest shareholders ng Maynilad. So, assuming lang na walang mangyaring regulatory risk tapos patuloy lang yung operations at mas nagiging efficient yung Maynilad at syempre, mas mag-grow pa sila, then that's a win-win situation for both stocks. So, for the next section ng video na to, that would be the technicals. So, punta tayo sa chart ng DMC. So, andito na tayo sa chart ng DMCI Holdings. So, nakikita nyo dito yung sudden drop na ginawa nung February 16. So, ang closing price kasi nung February 13 is 10.78. So, ito siya. And ang naging closing price nung Feb 16 is 9.20. So pag nilagay ko yan dyan, ayan, approximate lang, halos negative 15%, no? More than negative 14%. So ito yung sinasabi ko na nagkaroon ng drop because of the effect ng SEC kasi nga major shareholder ng SEC is DMC. So, bumaba ng sobra yung SEC tapos ang nangyayari, pina-price in ng market participants yung effect sa DMC pag nawala na sila ng income pagdating sa SEC. And ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na 3 years na performance ng DMC. So, kung mag-zoom out tayo at titingnan natin yung itsura ng chart ng DMC nung 2023, dito nyo makikita yung sinasabi kong yung performance ng stock, no, for the past 2 to 3 years is halos wala siyang ginagawa dahil hindi naman tumataas yung price. So, makikita natin na may overall movement siya na slightly going downward, no? So, hindi naman sobrang bagsak pero makikita natin na yung price overall is diagonal even if wala tong drop na nangyari nung Feb 16. So, ano ba yung ginagawang pattern ng DMC, no, before this drop? So, kung makikita natin dito, yung DMC actually is nasa loob ng isang downward channel na pattern. So, simula pa ng October 2024, so that's nearly 2 years ago, yung ginagawa ng DMC is naglalaro lang siya dito sa loob ng channel pattern na to, no? So, kung hindi siguro nangyari yung drop ng Feb 16, kung walang nangyaring regulatory risk sa SEC, baka yung galaw ng DMC, no, pupunta lang sa area na to. Tapos susundan niya lang yung pattern na yan. Until eventually, kung nakapag-breakout sana siya sa pattern na to, pwedeng ayun na yung magpa-transition sa kanya sana towards a move higher na matest niya yung mga areas from 12 to 1250. Pero dahil nagkaroon ng drop na ganito, tapos wala pa silang napapakita na possible na way para masabing hindi sila magiging ganun ka-affected, so medyo malabo na bumalik yung prices agad sa levels na to, no? So, syempre, hindi na yan yung pattern na ginagawa ng DMC. So, pag mag-zoom out pa ako, if we're going to base it sa 2023 na galaw, makikita natin na yung DMC is actually inside a very large consolidation. So, ito siya, no? Yung range high niya is yung peak nung 2023, nung kasagsagan ng coal prices. And naka-establish siya ng very important support level dito sa around 9 na price area. So, may double bottom dyan. Tapos, ito yung prices na nag-hold for more than 2 years sa DMC, no? Tapos, ito dapat yung magiging support level dyan. Kaya kung mag-zoom in tayo sa present na chart, makikita natin na ang nangyari dito is nag-hold yung prices na to, yung around 9 na price level. Dahil andun nga yung double bottom na support previously, no? So, ayun yung naging basis ng ibang market participants kung saan nag-decide sila na pulutin yung DMC. So, ngayon, nagkaroon lang ng overshoot dito sa 8.79 kasi syempre, ang lakas ng selling pressure, no? So, I guess, nagkaroon ng malakas na bentahan tapos nung nakita ng mga ibang market participants na hindi na ganun kalakas yung selling, nagkaroon ng pagpasok ng mga market participants, no? I think mostly mga investors or traders na nakakita na mura yung DMC at those levels or di kaya dun makakahanap yung DMC ng support. That's why you can see na nag-close yung price ng stock na to ng 9.20. So ngayon, masasabi natin na very important support level yung 9 dahil ayun nga yung double bottom. Pero syempre, yung current support niya sa ngayon is 8.79 talaga. Kasi ayan yung low na na-establish niya. So para sa akin, yung level ng 8.79 papuntang 9 is a currently strong support area for DMC. Kasi kung hindi naman strong support yan, dapat nag-close na siya below 9 at below pa ng 8.79, no? But of course, hindi yan ibig sabihin na wala nang chance bumaba pa yung stock. Kasi syempre, pag nadagdagan pa ng negative news, ng negative catalyst yan, it's possible na mabutas pa siya ulit. So, i-assume lang natin na magkaroon pa ng negative news for DMC at nabutas tong level na to. Let's look towards the left, no, kung saan pwedeng makahanap ng support yung DMC. So, andito tayo sa chart around 2022 to 2023 and there are several swing low areas here. So, una muna ito, kitang-kita naman around 8.27 and this level here, may swing low din sa 7.65. And finally, another double bottom sa level na to. Although short term lang, tapos nasa 7.30, no? So, ibig sabihin, pag nabutas yung prices na to sa S1 na support, yan yung mga levels na pwedeng puntahan ng DMC, no? In the short term, 8.27, 7.65, tapos 7.30. So, at the current prices, 9.20, this is just a 9.85 to 10% drop. So, kung nag-drop nga siya ng negative 14% sa negative news, diba? Ibig sabihin, hindi nakakagulat kung mahuhulog pa siya ng 10% pag may lumabas na negative. And kung sobrang negative nung balita, pwedeng abutin niya kaagad itong 7.60 plus na area towards 7.30 kasi nasa negative 20% to negative 16% drop pa yan, no? So, sa support level, ayun yung mga dapat abangan dahil pag nagkaroon pa ng negative news, no? Hindi naman pwedeng sobrang negative ng news tapos tataas pa ng sobra yung stock, diba? So, ayun yung mga prices na dapat abangan for the downside ng DMC. So, halimbawa naman, magkaroon ng price reaction at tumaas yung stock, no? Ano yung pwedeng maging resistance dyan na pwedeng pumigil sa price sa pagtaas niya? So, kanina nga, sabi ko, merong downward channel pattern yung DMC. So, kung makikita natin dito, ito yung previous na support line ng DMC, no? Tapos, hindi siya nagko-close above doon. So, pwede nating masabi na immediate resistance na yung level na to, yung support line nung downward channel pattern, which is this trend line. And aside from that, nakikita ko yung 9.87 towards the 10 area. So, ito yan, yung previous support ng DMC nung first week August last year tapos second week ng November. So, ibig sabihin kung ito yung immediate resistance in terms of the trend line, then itong horizontal line from 9.87 towards 10 na area, ito yung pwedeng maging resistance, no? So, you can either label this as R1 or R2. So, ayan yung resistance ng DMC. And of course, after that, then syempre, pwedeng itong buong gap na to maging resistance, no? Kasi may mga nag-exit dyan tapos nabuhos yung price. So, I think yan yung mga important levels na dapat abangan for DMC. Pag nakabawi siya around these levels, pwedeng mahirapan siya, no? Below 10 na price area kasi ang daming resistance eh. So, tingnan natin sa coming days or weeks kung magkakaroon ba ng positive news, no? Kung may malalabas bang catalyst yung SEC at DMC para maibalik yung prices, no? Kahit man lang near 10 na price area. Kasi sa ngayon, talagang bearish yung sentiment tapos negative dahil wala pang napapakitang positive na disclosures regarding sa issues pagdating dito sa coal contract na na-deny, no? So, before I talk about the next section of this video, kung bago ka pa lang sa channel na to, meron akong private community na membership group at 3 levels yan. So, may compounding crew, traders table, and market masters. At ayun yung mga benefits na pwede mong makuha kung saang membership group ka mag-decide na sumali. So, all you have to do is fill out these details, no? Ilagay nyo lang sa subject, membership, and then send nyo lang yan sa mga email address na nakikita nyo sa screen, or you can check the pinned comment for further details. So, in conclusion, for DMC, in the short term to medium term, I think magkakaroon ng mas grabe pang volatility for DMC, no? Either through bounce or momentum plays. Kasi syempre, hindi pa tapos yung balita, no? Mataas yung chance na marami pa tayong mababasa na mga disclosures at mas marami pang mga articles na lalabas as the issues, no, further develop, kung ano yung mga sasabihin pa ng SEC at DMC regarding dyan sa coal contract na yan. Syempre, magkakaroon pa ng mga statement niyan yung Department of Energy and possibly even the DOJ, no? So, kung magkaroon man ng mga bounce play dyan or mga momentum plays, syempre, I'll be looking out for those possible trade setups. And pagdating naman sa long term, I think the trading thesis or the investment thesis pagdating sa DMC, no, sobrang nakafocus talaga dito sa tatlong bagay na to na na-discuss ko na kanina. So, yung long-term thesis for DMC. So, when you're actually buying DMC for the long term, ito yung mga bagay na inaasahan mo. So, una, syempre, it's a bet that SEC will win the bidding because as mentioned earlier, isa to sa mga positive catalyst for SEC kung magkataon man na sila ulit yung manalo, no, para sa contract. So, when you're betting long-term sa DMC, you're actually betting that that SEC will win the contract. Pangalawa, you're also betting that coal prices increase. Based sa napag-usapan ko kanina, malakas yung effect ng coal prices sa stock price ng SEC and indirectly, of course, sa DMC. The third one, you're also betting na there's going to be an increase in infrastructure spending, no? Magkakaroon ng construction boom para makatulong sa construction arm ng DMC. And of course, a housing boom or an increase in the demand ng real estate na units ng DMC. And lastly, for the long term, hindi magsasuffer yung Maynilad ng mga regulatory risk na pinagdadaanan ng mga several companies like TEL, ABS-CBN, Plus or DigiPlus, and recently, yung SEC, no? So, inaasahan mo na magiging smooth sailing lang tapos wala masyadong headwinds yung Maynilad. So, how about you guys? What do you think about DMC? So, let me know in the comment section. And if you haven't watched yung mga other videos ko talking about specific stocks, you can click towards the upper right and stock market lesson videos sa bottom right. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe sa channel na to so you'll always be updated sa future videos na i-upload ko pa.